live on the webinar right now, so the mics are hot. We're live on the webinar. The mics are hot. That's all right. Welcome. We've got about 20 people attending the meeting via the webinar. Thanks for joining us. We'll be getting started in just a few more minutes. Sina's on the phone. Sina, can you still hear us?
Yeah.
Great.
Michael, just literally almost here.
We can unmute Kina if you'd like her to call the roll. Kina can call the roll remotely if you would like to.
But before we do that, I'll do the stuff with Cena first. That'd be the last time I have to.
Yeah. So Heather said Michael was coming right in.
Mm-hmm.
No, our timekeeper journalist is probably documenting on Twitter. We haven't started yet.
Now we have 28 people on the webinar. Thanks for joining us. And for those that are curious, there are no attendees in the public joining us today.
Did you get my text? You don't have it? Did you still want to meet with her after? Did you still want to meet after? No. Do you? Okay.
We do it during the closed session.
All right, I call this meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us who are joining through the webinar and for those looking on Channel 10.
And Mayor Walker, just again for FOIA purposes, Vice Mayor McGill is participating via telephone. And Vice Mayor McGill, are you there?
I am.
And you're not participating today due to a medical condition, is that correct?
I am.
And are you currently in your residence in the city of Charlottesville, Virginia?
I am. I haven't left in a long time.
Ah, so sorry to hear that. If we could then have a motion to allow Vice Mayor McGill to participate electronically due to a medical condition?
Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Now, Ms. Thomas with the roll call.
All right. Ms. Thomas, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Could you do roll
Okay.
call, please?
Mr. Payne,
Here?
Mr. Snook,
Here?
Ms. Walker,
Present.
Ms. McGill,
Here.
Ms. Hill.
Here.
Okay.
All right.
Before the council today is an ordinance, and obviously these are trying times for everybody, not just in local government, but in our community in general. But in order to protect everyone's health and safety, I think it seems to be a consensus of council that councilors would prefer whatever legal means are necessary to allow you to all participate electronically until this COVID-19 issue, till there's some mitigation of that in the community that would make it safe for people to gather. And therefore, there is an ordinance before you, and obviously, as this is a special meeting called by the mayor, if you don't mind, Mayor Walker, I will kind of walk you and the public, council, everybody through this.
Okay.
I want to start off, Councilor Snook contacted me right before the meeting, and we will make one modification as we go through here, but as everyone knows, the Freedom of Information Act requires the council to have what's called an open meeting, and traditionally that's been, and it also requires a physical quorum of the council. And traditionally, per FOIA, obviously 3 people of the 5 members of council need to be here for a physical quorum, and also the doors have to be open to allow the public to participate and see the workings of government. Considering COVID-19, and I do want to make this point, Charlottesville is not the only locality that's doing this. I think based on the science that is out there right now, the council believes it would be best going forward until, again, there's some mitigation, that council can participate and hold its meetings electronically. The reason that this ordinance is before you, I will go through it for 4 separate reasons. The first being that any agenda items that are scheduled for the council, the planning commission, any city board, commission, or authority are deemed continued for the duration of Dr. Richardson's local emergency declaration. And if there's not action taken by the council, boards, commissions, or authorities, that in fact the statutorily mandated timeframes are waived until the declaration of emergency is lifted. Also, as I started off here, and the next is the second, or the first, be it further ordained clause, provides that the council, commissions, boards, and authorities can in fact utilize electronic meeting procedures for the duration of this emergency. And I will make a clarification in the ordinance at Councilor Snook's request. I think it's correct to state that the provisions that usually require a medical or personal condition are deemed waived, that this is in fact pursuant to the authority under 2.2 3708.2A3, and that the council from here on, if it chooses, until the end of the emergency declaration, can meet electronically. I do want to point out, I know that it's a point of emphasis with the council that this last clause in the first, be it further ordained, paragraph says, such electronic meetings will be held in a manner designed to maximize public participation to the fullest possible extent. Obviously, everyone wishes we could have our council chambers open and the usual public participation, but I know Mr. Wheeler, with this webinar and other means, including the Facebook broadcast, we're trying our best to maximize public participation when there are going to be these meetings like today and electronic meetings. Third, you'll see that, again, for the council, boards, and commissions, including the Planning Commission, if there is a public hearing that has to occur during this, obviously, we will utilize all means possible, including webinar technology, but this also states that the public can submit comments to the city clerk prior to, during, and for 5 days following the electronic meeting, and those will be officially made part of the public hearing record, so that, again, if somebody can't participate via webinar, this does give them the option to send an email to become part of that public hearing record. Hopefully, again, this is a way to maximize more people's ability to participate while we are in these conditions. The fourth, be it further ordained, the city manager is hereby delegated the responsibility to open, close, and establish the hours of operation of all city parks. I included this because the city code sets the hours of the parks, and quite frankly, we don't know what guidance we're going to get from the federal government or the state that may have to do with park closing, and I think it's better, and again, this just lasts for the duration of this emergency, to give the city manager the authority to close parks if in fact we receive such guidance from the federal or state government, rather than have to go through an ordinance change and the like by the council. Those are the four highlights of this continuity of government ordinance. I know I certainly you all can comment, but I think I speak for all of you. This isn't the preference of this council to do it this way. We try to maximize public participation, but due to this virus, I think everybody feels like this is the way to try to keep health and safety of the community maximized during this emergency. And I do want to make it clear, this ends once the council declares the emergency is over, or in 6 months, whichever is later.
And obviously, if it continued beyond that, we could renew it.
Yes, sir.
So before I read it, do you have the amendment language for the first one again?
Yes. On the be it further ordained, the first clause,
First one,
it says, if you look, under normal means, by physically assembling a quorum of the public body, or by solely electronic means as described in Virginia Code Section 2.2 37082A3, and that such electronics will be held in a manner designed to maximize public participation to the fullest extent possible, comma, and any provision of Virginia Code Section 2.2-3708.2 requiring council approval of electronic participation. Due to a personal matter or medical condition is hereby waived.
Okay. All right.
And Mr. Blair, just out of curiosity, I know there's a provision someplace, and I just can't call up where we've said we only want to have, basically going to only authorize 2 such participations electronically in a calendar year or something. What is that provision?
That is the 2.23708.2. The first part of it, I believe it's subsection A, requires the governing body to approve if there is a medical condition.
A1B,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So do we make the motion first or read it first?
You can just make a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended.
Do you want to read the whole thing?
I think we should.
Keena distributed it, but we can read it if you'd like.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So read it first and make
Do
the
you want,
motion first.
yeah. Do you want me to read it or?
I can do it.
Okay.
Okay. But which one do we do first, motion or read it?
Probably I would read it first.
Okay. Ordinance, to modify deadlines, modify public meetings and public hearing practices and procedures to address continuity of operations associated with the pandemic disaster. Whereas on March 12, 2020, Governor Ralph S. Northam issued Executive Order 51 declaring a state of emergency for the Commonwealth of Virginia due to the potential spread of COVID-19. And whereas Governor Northam's March 12, 2020 declaration found that the anticipated effects of COVID-19 constitute a disaster pursuant to Virginia Code Section 44-146.16, and whereas City Manager and Director of Emergency Management, Dr. Teron J. Richardson, declared a potential spread of COVID-19 an emergency on March 12, 2020, pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Charlottesville City Council, and whereas Virginia Code Section 15.2-1413 provides that a locality may, by ordinance, provide a method to assure continuity in government in the event of a disaster, notwithstanding any contrary provision of law, general or special, and whereas the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3700, provides that all meetings shall be open to the public unless a public body elects to exercise an exemption provided by the Act or any other statute. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Charlottesville, Virginia, that agenda items scheduled or proposed to be considered for the duration of the local emergency declaration by the City Council, Planning Commission, or any other city board, commission, or authority shall be deemed continued for the duration of the local emergency declaration. If the City Council, Planning Commission, or other city board, commission, or authority does not take action on the agenda item during the reference time frame, including those agenda items for which the state or local law requires an affirmative action to be taken within the statutorily mandated time frame, and the failure to act can be deemed an approval, and be it further ordained that the City Council, Planning Commission, and any other city board, commission, or authority may at their election conduct previously scheduled meetings or special meetings and act upon scheduled or proposed agenda items before them for the duration of the emergency declaration under normal means by physically assembling a quorum of the body, or by solely electronic means as described in Virginia Code 2.2-3708.2A3, and that such electronic meetings will be held in a manner designed to maximize public participation to the fullest extent possible, and any provision of the code section 2.2-3708.2 requiring council approval of electronic participation due to a personal matter or medical condition is hereby waived. Be it further ordained that in the event that a matter which requires a public hearing prior to action is deemed by the City Council, Planning Commission, Board Commission, or authority is present to present a critical government function essential of continuity of government for the duration of the emergency declaration, then the public hearing may be conducted by an open public comment period called for during an electronic meeting, as well as by submission of written public comments to the city clerk prior to, during, and for 5 days following the electronic meeting, after the city has first publicized notice of the electronic meeting and public hearing on the city's website at least 5 days before the public hearing. Be it further ordained that the city manager is hereby delegated the responsibility to open, close, and establish the hours of operation of all city parks. Be it further ordained that the Charlottesville City Council reserves the right to rescind or amend this ordinance. Be it further ordained that this ordinance shall expire either upon the earlier occurrence of, 1, Charlottesville City Council taking action pursuant to Virginia Code Section 44-14.21 to the end of the emergency declaration, or 2, 6 months from the date of this ordinance adoption. Pursuant to Charlottesville City Code Section 2.96, this ordinance is enacted on the date of its introduction by a 4/5 vote of Charlottesville City Council.
I move that we adopt this ordinance to modify deadlines, modify public meeting and public hearing practices and procedures to address continuity of operations associated with the pandemic disaster.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Any questions or comments?
Just one question to be clear. If we have a standard meeting, in other words, one not being conducted by electronic means, we can then conduct other non-emergency related business. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so we can, in fact, move forward on non-emergency actions in the next 6 months.
Yes, sir.
We just can't do it by this purely electronic means.
Right. Okay. The purely electronic means is just what has to be done to keep the government. Yeah.
And one of the items that would, I think, would constitute a continuity of government issue might be a budget meeting,
Yes, sir.
for example. So we can move forward with some of the budget decisions, again, trying to maximize public input as best we can, but if for some reason we can't have a standard meeting with everybody here, we could, in fact, proceed electronically on a budget.
Right.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All right, all in favor?
Do we want to have any public comment? Is that I don't know whether anybody in the public wants to comment or be heard, but is that part of the option here?
You certainly can.
Mm-hmm. Is there anyone who would like to comment, Brian?
On the webinar, if you would like to speak to City Council about the ordinance, please raise your hand. We do have a couple participants. Matt Lawless, you are on with City Council. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, friends. My name's Matt Lawless, calling from the town of Scottsville. I serve as town administrator here. Want to commend you for your leadership on this issue. It's been complicated through our region. Scottsville Town Council is undertaking the same matter tomorrow with a similar ordinance, and it's encouraging to see you guys leading on this, and we'll do the best we can to help out for the region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Missy is going to join, and if you could say your full name. And it looks like she's not joining. Okay. Is there anyone else? Oh, Missy. Missy, you're on with City Council. If you could tell us your full name.
City of Charlottesville.
Could you say that again?
Missy Creasy, City of Charlottesville.
Go ahead, Missy.
I just wanted to thank you guys for providing us with some direction, and we'll be working on the on things as we can. And thank you for taking care of us.
Thank you. Hope you're doing well.
And that is it for public comment.
It does raise a question for me of any land use decisions will have to wait until after this period of time?
Right.
Okay.
That's the waiving the deadlines.
Yep. Yep, okay.
Unless we were to have a
Unless-
standard non-electronic meeting.
Right, what you were saying
exactly.
earlier, yeah. So we,
Exactly.
okay. I can't think of an emergency that would merit that, but just curious.
Okay. Any further questions, comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So it carries 5 by vote. All right. Is there any other business?
With this opportunity, Brian, is there anything you would like us to share with the community? Just encouraging everyone to stay home, stay low as much as possible.
That's right. Keep your distance and follow all the guidance from the Virginia Department of Health.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Meeting adjourned.